Okay.
So, Mr. Robby, you are currently taking PhD in computer science in University of South Florida, and you take your master in University of Toledo. And being aware of your skill as software engineer, you have worked in NASA Marshall Space Flight Center and participated in MIT AI competition for 3 years. Uh, so we're gonna talk about your great experience later on. But firstly, I want to ask about maybe you can tell us a bit about your hometown, childhood, and how eventually you interested in taking this study field.
Yeah, so I'll definitely explain about that, but just quickly, I don't have a master's yet. My bachelor's was from Toledo in mathematics, and I'm getting my PhD now, so I skipped getting a master's. And so yeah, so growing up, my mom was like a mathematician. She retired by the time I was older, but she was interested in math, and then my dad was interested in, like meteorology and climate, and so he told me a lot about that, and so that kind of sparked my interest in science. But I always leaned towards math because I found it fun and easy, and interesting. And when I was, I think, in middle school, I started making video games, or I started trying to program the video games, right? And because I really liked playing games, and I was interested in making my own. Um, but eventually, once I got to college and I started learning about like more interesting things like artificial intelligence and like machine learning, and like web development, I started becoming more interested in that, and I'm not as interested in video games anymore. Um, and so one thing that really inspired me was there are these videos online that say like um, they set up an environment and uh, have the program learn how to do a task. And so, for example, there was one video where they would have a bunch of organisms in an environment, and the organisms could eat, or they could walk around, or they could attack each other, and the program would allow them to learn from their mistakes and reproduce, and eventually they learn some sort of behavior from that. And I thought that was so interesting because it's kind of like um, the biological theory of evolution, but applied to you're making the computer do it to learn how to solve a task, which I thought was very interesting. And so that kind of inspired me to learn programming better and change my field to learn more about computer science.
Yeah. So the first time you interested in math and you stumbled upon the video about programming, right? Actually, I have long wondered about how uh, how people can do programming, like they can make a Wi-Fi. I mean, as we look like 1,000 years ago, uh, I I think that they would probably say it is impossible, right, for such technology exists. So yeah, I've long wondered in programming, and maybe I consider in taking programming as my study field later on. Okay, so it is right that you have completed many coding project in your free time, right? can you tell us a bit about the project you have completed before?
Oh yeah. So I guess the one that I'm most proud of is there's a game, Pokemon, and there's a website called Pokemon Showdown where people can play online against each other. And so one project I did was I created a bot that logs onto the website and watches people play the game, and it keeps track of every decision they make and which Pokemon they use and what moves they use, what items they use. And then I did that about 2 years ago, and it can tell you like what the best strategy is. And then a few months ago, I made it into a website so people can look at it and see the data it collects. So that one is something that I'm most proud of because it took a lot of effort. And I think there's definitely room for AI in that field because you have a lot of data, right? Anytime you have a lot of data with something, there's a chance you can run a machine learning algorithm on that data.
About the Pokemon website, what is the name of the website, Mister?
Pucko.info, so Pucko.info.
pucko.info. Okay, thank you. Maybe I'll go check later.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I'm really interested. And so you utilize AI in your programming, right? Uh, how is that help the programming?
Um, so I would say, so I didn't use AI so much yet in this project, but another project that I'm doing is my research right now for my PhD, and that uses a lot of AI. And so the way I would describe AI is it allows you to solve some problems that math cannot solve. So for example, um, the problem I'm working on could be solved by linear algebra, but because of the nature of the problem, it makes it very difficult for that to work. And so when you're using AI, you can set up the computer to learn something, and it is sometimes able to get a better solution than you would have gotten by just using basic linear algebra or whatever math that you are using. And so you're basically setting up a problem, and the computer can iteratively form an estimation of that problem. And because of the way it's solved, you can have a lot more freedom in how it's solved. And so maybe in math, there's like one way to get an answer, but when you're using machine learning or AI, you can apply other techniques to it to get an answer that you want. So if you have any questions, let me know. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the AI would really help your job, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. I want to ask about. So it is it that you were interested in math, especially in Collette's conjecture? Am I spell it right? Collette's conjecture,
Oh
and
yeah.
okay, and people know it as the unsolved math problems. Can you tell me about your experience in learning this unsolved problem, and does it have impact on computer science?
Yeah, for sure. So the Collette's conjecture is an unsolved problem in math, and that was something I was interested in maybe like 6 years ago when I started learning about more advanced math. And I would say where AI comes into these sorts of things is we can't really get an exact answer with AI a lot of the times, but we can get estimates to answers to more amount of problems. And so a lot of times AI can help inform your process and the way that you work. Yeah, so, and there are many mathematical proofs that people thought were true, that it was only until computers were invented that they were able to prove the math formulas. And so, yeah, so there's definitely a lot of areas in math that AI can help.
Okay, does it have impact on computer science?
Like the
The
AI or, oh, no,
oh,
the Coax conjecture doesn't really have any impact on computer science. The Coax conjecture is more like to say that you did it. Like the Coax conjecture has like no real world application, but it's so difficult and nobody has ever solved it. It's more like if we can solve this problem, we can solve many other problems, right?
oh, okay. And about AI, people currently using ChatGPT, right? And actually, it is fast enough to provide us the solution. But I'm wondering, is ChatGPT can be a reliable source for people? Is it uh, proven as right? The data provide they provide. Yeah.
Well, so I could tell you my experience with ChatGPT. So I think it's very useful, but it's not always right. So it's the same thing as maybe Google. You know, you can find a lot of answers on Google, but you can't always trust what you find. And so, for example, I was using ChatGPT to help explain some code to me because you can copy and paste in computer code and it will explain the code to you. And there was one situation where it actually it I think it didn't know the answer. So rather than say I don't know, it created an answer that seemed reasonable, but it was completely false. So I thought that was really funny that I actually believed it when I first read it, and then I tried to use it and it didn't work, and I went back and I realized it was completely not true. And so I think you definitely have to be careful about when ChatGPT works best in certain situations, and you have to be careful about using it when it's not one of those situations.
Oh, okay. So, uh, ChatGPT is not really taking from sources from journals, but also it can develop their own solutions, which is not reliable, right? And talking about programming in general, in Indonesia, we are currently facing a high demand in programming field. And if I'm not mistaken, we still need about 9 million peoples in this field. So it is a lot of lack of person there. And what is your suggestion for people who just want to start career in programming?
Okay, so that's a good question. Because I think not everyone likes programming, right? Some people do, some people don't. So the biggest suggestion I would say is before you go to college or spend a lot of money and time learning coding, learn it on your own first and try to do a small project that you are interested in. Because if you go to college to learn how to program, but you don't even know if you'll like it at all. And so you get there and then you're not doing projects you are interested in, you're doing projects the professor tells you to do. And so a lot of people find that they don't like it. But if you learn coding first and you realize you like it and you like doing projects that you are interested in, and then you go to college, it's not so hard to do the projects the professor assigns. And I think this is because coding is actually quite difficult. And so if you're trying to learn something that's very difficult and you're not as interested in the projects, it will be more difficult.
Okay, so we need to make sure that we have passion in learning programming, right?
Yes.
But I think actually I think about so a few days ago I asked my lecturer, uh I asked him how does the major like English or uh most of language major still relevant to current AI situation, because like obviously if you want to be a translator, there is AI, right? So I think this automation uh, will eventually uh, what is decreasing employment in
Yeah.
certain jobs, right? And so I see that in the future, people uh, people have to learn about programming. So how do you perceive on this situation? Like,
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, I think ChatGPT uh, can increase that fear because we can see ChatGPT can even code. So maybe even learning how to code is not enough to escape the AI, right? But I think I think one thing is that learning how to use these tools as they are invented are very important, because if there are less language jobs for translating, there will be more jobs of how to use ChatGPT correctly, right? Because actually asking certain questions can increase the performance of ChatGPT, like how you ask the question. And so there will probably be jobs where the whole point of the job is to use these tools and get them to perform as best as possible. So I would say one way to prepare for it is to make sure you are the one using the tool and not the one losing the job, right? But and yeah, definitely learning coding as well is definitely good, because these models are created with programming. And so as they, there's definitely an opportunity in that area as well. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that.
okay, so thank you for the answer. So there are a lot of discussions about AI, and one of the discussions is people are believe that ChatGPT is the first generation of AI, right? And so there will develop the AI. And uh, can you describe what how the future with AI?
That's a hard question because you have to be able to predict the future, right? So it could be that ChatGPT is, yeah, like you said, the first wave of AI. But it also could be that kind of like self-driving cars, people thought self-driving cars would have already taken over by now and nobody would drive, but that hasn't happened. So it's hard to know. Will AI be more like the cell phone where everyone's using it in like 10 years? Or will it be like self-driving cars where 40 years pass and we're still developing it? Yeah, it's definitely hard to say, but I think it will keep improving. So ChatGPT is definitely a breakthrough. And I think as computing power continues to improve, it will become easier for AI to improve. So it's kind of like a feedback loop, right? As computing power gets better, AI gets better. As AI gets better, people get more efficient, and you know, hopefully it will lead to society becoming better overall. So,
But do you have the other situation, the other predict future, like Terminator?
yeah.
Yeah, actually, I really interested. I mean, AI is going crazy, and so how uh is there any possibility that we go into that direction?
Um, there are a lot of people who think so. I would say maybe try to learn how ChatGPT works very deeply before making that decision, because it's really not like alive or anything, right? It's a predictive language model, so it takes in the words previously and tries to predict the next word, right? So it doesn't have like a personality, right? But as far as like the future goes, is this possible in the future? I guess the thing that I would say is I am more scared of a person using AI to do something bad than the AI doing something bad, right? Because at least right now, AI is like a tool, a very powerful tool, right? So you can, and it still requires a human to operate it. So I would say I would be more scared that somebody will use AI to do something nefarious. And I think that will happen sooner than AI doing something nefarious on its own. But you never know. You know, it could happen.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not.
uh okay. So i'm I'm quite interested in learning about environmental issue, and I wonder whether AI could beneficial to the environment. Do you have any thoughts?
Um, yeah, so as I said before, my area is in imaging, and so I don't work too much in like satellite imaging, but there is definitely research being done in AI as regards to images from space of the Earth. And so I definitely think studying the Earth and the way that the environment changes over time and trying to detect the environment using satellite imagery, that's definitely something that AI work is being done in. And specifically AI can improve performance anytime you have a lot of data. And so because there are more and more satellites orbiting the Earth, more and more data is being created that gives information about the environment. And so it's too much data for a single person to analyze by themselves. And so that's where AI can come in to automate some of these more specialized process. I think another way that AI could help is modeling the climate. And so, obviously we continue to try and improve climate models. And so using AI is definitely an area where it could perhaps be improved.
Yeah, I actually think the same as you. As AI getting more developed, I think it will really beneficial to those environmental people, right? And scientists that are working on environment. Last question from me. How do you stay up to date with the latest advancement of this technology?
Honestly, the best way is other people tell me. So that's how I learned about chatgpt. Is I have a friend who does research in my lab, and he showed it to me. So I guess my way is make sure you know a lot of people and talk to a lot of people, and it can be in different areas. Like you're in English, so that's pretty cool. Like maybe we wouldn't normally talk, but we're talking now. So, and then I also, there's like a website that publishes papers, and so I like to look at that website as well. Yeah, so that's how I do it.
Okay. Actually, I want to ask more.
Yeah,
So
sure.
one
Feel free.
last question. So
It's okay, it's okay.
yeah, thank you. So do you have any certain programs that you want to build or you want to make in the future or in your research?
Yeah, I have a lot that I want to do. I hope I have enough time to do it. Yeah, so like for example, I told you about the Pokemon website, so I want to incorporate AI into that. And so I have an idea for an AI that is called reinforcement learning. So it plays against itself billions of times and continues improving with each game. And so I want to create an AI that can play Pokemon and be the best. And I also, for my research, we're using AI and optimization to detect the location of an object that's around a corner so you can't see it. But we're using like the position of the shadows and the light from that scene to reconstruct the scene. And so I want to continue working on that, and I have some ideas for making it better. And so, yeah, that's something I want to do.
I hope you can develop your program well, Mr.
Thank you.
Yeah. So actually, that is all from me. My question. Do you have any question, Kak Alia?
Okay, thank you, Noval. First of all, hello, Nikita, Noval, and Mr. Robby. First of all, I would like to apologize for not able opening my camera because in my place, the internet connection isn't that well. So like once I open my camera, it will be lagging. So yeah, I'm actually enjoying your discussion. Like it's all about technology, it's all about AI. And as I now doing my project on research about chat GPT in education. So yeah, I think what Mr. Robby has mentioned would be my insights in for my projects on research. So actually, I'm not that good enough in technology, but I'm curious about like um, the women in technology field because I have interest in gender equality things. So the first questions of from me maybe would like uh, the amount of women and men in the field of technology. Maybe from your country, is there any gender gap in that field? And is if there is gender gap, like maybe men is higher than women, what makes maybe women become less interest in this field? Because in Indonesia, like the real case, uh, there are less of women than men in the IT field, kind of that thing. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so there's definitely more men in at least computer science. I actually noticed in my undergraduate college there was a lot more men, as in almost no women. So maybe in a class there's 100 people and there's 2 or 3 girls in the class, right? And then I came to Florida now, and there's more women here, so maybe it's because it's later in the future and more women have started going into computer science, but or maybe it's the location that I'm at. Yeah, so yeah, there is actually more of an equal number in the PhD field. So I was actually surprised by that. So for people getting their masters, it's mostly men, but for people getting a PhD, it's more equal. So I think I don't know what that says about yeah, I don't know how to analyze that fact, but maybe women are more interested in getting a higher education and men are more interested in getting middle education. So
Okay, but what about like in the real industry, like in the company? Is there still men higher than women? I mean, like in the PhD in the educational field, maybe women is higher, but what about in the real industry like that? Is it still men?
as far as like how many people, like, are you asking, are there more men in the industry?
Oh, so like, is it like the job requirements asking for more men than women? Is it?
Um, I don't really know because the only experience I have in industry was my internship. So most of the experience I have is in the academic fields. And I still there's maybe I misspoke, but there's still more men in PhD, but I think it's closer to equal. But I think there's definitely some effort to provide opportunities for women. And so like there's scholarships and things. And I think like professors try to be equal when they're hiring. Of course I can't speak for everyone. So, but you know, I hope we're moving in a direction where there's more equality and more women interested and coming into the field of computers. And I think we're moving in that direction. So
Yeah. I hope so. I hope so. Thank you so much, Miss Robby, for your answer. Maybe that's all from me, Nopal. Thank you.
thank
You're
you.
welcome, Kak. Okay, so I think that is all. Is it? Do you want to add, Kak Nikita?
Um, I actually, my question actually have done by novel, but I wanna add about the woman and men equality because I'm in Department of Electrical and informatic engineering. So yeah, we play a lot with about yeah IT. And what I see is men and women in one project they help each other. So maybe in technical men play a lot, but in managing and analyze analyze the result, I think women work a lot on it. So we help each other. So yeah, I think it would be great if there's women and men in a project of IT because yeah, the result would be really great because yeah, they help each other. That's what I see in my project. So we have a digital programmable timer, making kind of that, and yeah, we have yeah help each other and we have fun. So I see men play a lot in infrastructure in network engineering, but women playing a lot with like data science, data analyzing. Yeah. So they have, I think they are on cluster if we talk about AI. So like clustering, women more prefer to data analyzing and men more prefer to like the infrastructure of network. Yeah, that's what I see in internet engineering major. But yeah, that's just my sharing. It's not
Yeah, that
valid,
makes
but
sense.
yeah.
The AI could be a area of intersection between
Yeah,
analyzing and the networking infrastructure. Yeah, I could see that.
yeah. Yeah. So I think we can yeah help each other in IT. So we need women for that. We need men for IT.
I'm totally agree, kind of get that. I think not just in programming field, I think in many field, in all field, there has to be equal between men and women, right? Uh, okay, is there more you want to add? Maybe we're going to closing.
I think the time is over. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Robby. The time is over. Yeah, I say 1 hour is maximum, but yeah,
Oh, I think it's not been an hour yet.
really.
I think
Okay.
Oh
we've
yeah, yeah, yeah. 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can concentrate really well because yeah, I got
Yeah, thanks
flu.
so much for having me on here. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, there's one last question.
Yeah.
So we're currently facing we are currently building a community, Mr. And so we need advice from you. Do you have any suggestion or advice uh on how to scale up our community? Uh, yeah, and reach more audiences. Thank you.
Um, this is not my area of expertise, but I would say do what you're passionate about. I think that's my advice in life in general, because if you do what you're passionate about, you will do it more and work harder. So if you are interested in something, show what you're interested in, and other people will be interested too.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Before we end this meeting, can we take a picture? Can we take a
Yeah,
photo?
yeah, of course.
Okay, Kak Ali, can you turn on your camera for a picture?
I don't think I can, Novel.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that is all right. Okay, so how do we
How
pose?
about
Can
the
you get that?
pose?
Oh,
Do you want this or this?
oh, I like this.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, let's do
this
this.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. I hope we'll see in another discussion.
All right,
And
thank you so much.
yeah, good job for
Thank you so
your
much, Mr.
research.
Thank you. All right, well, yep. See you. Have a good week.
Yeah,
See you.
All right,
and see
bye.
you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, guys.